I always respond to people that discovered Bitcoin the hard way. Experience shaped my decision into getting to know about what Bitcoin really is. I heard about Bitcoin first when I was in uni. I was writing C++ and working on Arduino board then. Um, I started using a lot of cryptocurrency then. I think I get aware with Ethereum, and then there was a South African platform that looks like an exchange that we can use back then. I started using it, but I was scammed. I was
Welcome to Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions. I'm your host, Saida Gomez. Today, I have the pleasure and the delight to ask Heritage Falodun, aka Harry the Eagle, 21 questions. Heritage, how are you today?
I'm fine. Nice meeting you today, Saidia Gomez. It's nice getting on your 21
It
questions
is so
program.
nice to meet you too. Yeah,
Awesome.
I think
Awesome.
we've been following each other for a few years now, I think.
Yeah, yeah, since the Satoshi Jonas Day, I think a lot of spaces and Bitcoin related football initiatives and all that. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it is after all this time. Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, good day everyone. It's nice joining this program today. I'm Heritage Falodun, popularly known as Heritage DiGOats on all social media platforms. I'm a Bitcoin consultant and a liquidity provider. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of DigiOats, a platform focused on Bitcoin education and remittance for corporate businesses. I'm also the co-founder for Neona Synergy, a platform strictly focused on cross-border remittance for corporate businesses as well. So at my leisure time, I do a lot of things Bitcoin focused only. I'm a contributing writer for Bitcoin Magazine, a Bitcoin correspondent for Black
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin Billionaires, and yes, I just write at leisure. That's a brief introduction about myself. I have to be brief on this show because we have more questions to cover. Everything. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, that's right. And just tell people again where they can find you on social media.
Oh, I mean, I'm only on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I'm not on TikTok, on Snapchat. No, 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 no. Just those two.
Well, you will be because I do shorts of this podcast on TikTok. So, on Ask a Bitcoiner 21 questions, the goal is to get through 21 questions in 10 minutes. I sent you all
Wow.
of the questions ahead of time. However, I've swapped out one question for a surprise question.
Awesome. Go
Do you
ahead.
have any
I'm
questions
all
before we
yes.
get started?
I would say my only question would be what brings about the 21 questions for Bitcoin and what brings about this initiative?
Oh, that's a good question. So, 21 questions relates to 21 million, obviously. And I used to listen to 50 Cent back in the day. And so 21 questions was something that was like sort of implanted in my brain. And the other thing too is when I speak to everyone about Bitcoin, right? People who are very technical. I should say I listen to technical people. I speak to people who are on my level who are interested in the economics and the social aspect of Bitcoin. And I speak to family members, my in laws, random strangers on the street, friends. And I noticed that amongst a majority of people I speak to, they have this idea that Bitcoin is inaccessible. It's only for finance people. It's only for just people who aren't them. And so I figure
Techies
if
and
I
all of
could
that.
put something together, pardon?
Yes, I said techies and all of that. They feel it's for only finance and techies
Yeah,
and a lot of high-end folks.
exactly. So I figure that if I could somehow find a way to ask people all across the spectrum in this world of Bitcoin, 21 questions, maybe other people like friends and family will see this and they'll find someone with whom they can relate, and they'll see that Bitcoin is really for everyone or anyone. Everyone can use it, but anyone can really just take the leap and learn about it and figure out how Bitcoin can be good for them. So that's the idea behind it.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for answering my question. I mean, that's a great initiative. It's not like bridging information gap and getting across to more people. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I've got the timer set to 10 minutes. Here we go. So it's
Wow,
up to 10
this
minutes.
is
I don't know
about
if
to
you can
get
see it.
serious. Yeah.
It's about to get serious. No pressure. I'll ask the first question. Oh, yes. And I'll ask the questions randomly. So I'll ask the first question and then I will start the timer. Are you ready?
100% ready.
Yeah? First question. Kind of heavy to start off with. Which measures did the Nigerian government take to clamp down on P2P platforms?
Wow. That's going to be a long explanation, but I will try as much as possible to make it brief. So, I think February 2021, the then president was President Muhammadu Buhari, and he gave a very restrictive policy on P2P, basically because they are trying to like mitigate the risks around transaction volumes that are like going outside the radar of the traditional banking system. So at some point, the CBN governor also made a publication that a huge amount of Nigeria remittance doesn't come through the traditional banking rails anymore, and most of it are coming through the Bitcoin and USDT remittance rail, which is something they can't control, and they feel they need to alt P2P in order to be able to like move those transaction volume back to the traditional finance system. So the government has been taking steps basically to alt P2P in regards to like coming with regulation and restrictive policies that hinder people from using P2P platforms on well-known exchanges. So we've seen policies like them chasing away exchanges. We've seen police chasing away exchanges indirectly. That is setting regulations for these exchanges, regulations that looks like something those exchanges will not be able to meet up with. They're also trying to like alt P2P transactions by imposing tax. I think the only exchange that was able to like absorb their tax mechanism was OKCoin, Bybit, kind of. They had about 7.5% tax on cryptocurrency transactions. I think Binance left due to the fact that they couldn't meet up with some regulation. And also there are issues about what's it called? They also raised concerns about money going through cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, USDT as illegal money, and then is probably used for funding terrorism and all of that. So my response to your question is Nigeria government has made a lot of steps into halting P2P, but it's quite obvious that P2P can't be stopped because as the name implies, it's a P2P electronic way of sending money. People can usually create groups, use WhatsApp, Telegram, and meet at coffee shops and then run their day. So P2P still remains untouched, but banned on like a dummy ban by the government. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. What is the Eco West African Currency Initiative?
Oh, okay. That's another great question. I think for your listeners now, I would say the they should read my latest publication on Bitcoin Magazine, where I talked about cross-border remittances for corporate businesses and the use of Bitcoin in Africa in relation with the eco currency. So the eco currency is a currency initiative introduced by the West African countries called ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. We have 15 countries in that alliance, where we have Burkina Faso, Mali, and some other countries leaving the alliance now due to military regime. So the eco currency is an initiative that aims to bridge the remittance problem across the 15 countries that are under ECOWAS, because Africa literally have about 40 plus currencies, and these currencies doesn't communicate with each other. They only communicate with United States dollars before communicating with themselves. So this government feels they don't want to adopt a decentralized currency like Bitcoin that they can't control, but they are also coming up with options of creating a currency they can control by themselves, which is ECO, and will be tradable within those 15 countries. So it's more like them coming up with an initiative to adopt a single currency for 15 countries in the West African region.
Yep, I'll add a link to your Bitcoin Magazine article in the show notes. Okay, which products or services are most impacted by inflation in Nigeria?
Wow, very straightforward question. Food. Anything related to consumption, the inflation, yes, food and fuel. So that's petrol, gas, food majorly. I'm going to say it again. Food. So the recent Nigeria,
I think it's food
the recent
everywhere.
Nigeria, 40% inflation on food in Nigeria. There's about 33.93% inflation generally.
Yep. What is the adoption rate of the e-Naira?
The adoption rate of e-Naira, I think about 0.36% adoption level. That's the adoption rate the last I checked. And what that means is like 0.3% of the population adopting it. e-Naira is a failed project in Nigeria, I must confess to you. e-Naira is the central bank digital currency. It's not scalable. It's not being used by the masses because of the functionality, because of the way it operates, and because of the doubt I feel Nigerians have in it. Nigerians only want something that works and a solution that solves their actual problem. But when the e-Naira was initialized, it was segmented into 3 phases, and the first phase was like the initial stage, creation stage, the operation stage, and then the stage that involves it scaling across border and all. But even the initial stage remains epileptic because with your banks, you can't easily make transactions, and people also ask questions that is this new currency going to be solving problems around inflation and all of that, since the currency is still the same thing as Naira is pegged to it. It doesn't solve cross-border remittance problems. So it's more like you creating the same problem in a digital form. So it's a failed project on arrival. e-Naira adoption is about 0.36% on the first two years it was created. Yeah.
That gives the rest of us a lot of hope with respect to a CBDC. So thank you, Nigeria. Okay, describe the customer cross-border payment. Seriously. 1 minute to go, so I'll be quick. Describe the customer cross-border payment journey in Nigeria when using traditional currency versus Bitcoin.
Oh, now I think it's actually a feed and fasting. So I'm going to give response in a practical manner. So there is a business A and business B. Business A works on importing goods and exporting goods. Business B works on importing and exporting goods. Business A uses the traditional finance system, that's the Apex Bank, the normal banking system, the money transfer, MoneyGram, Western Union, or probably Swift network of today, which is like incorporated with our local banks. How does that work? Business A uses USDT and Bitcoin. Business A links up with his partner, or probably links up with a remittance company and give that remittance company Naira at an exchange rate that is perfect with. And the remittance company moves ahead to like use the underlying technology of Bitcoin and USDT to make transaction for business A, whereby the recipient of business A transaction receive the payment the same day. Reflection. Why with the traditional banking system for business B? Oh, we exhausted that time. Why with the traditional banking system of business B? Business B is going to have to go through a lot of paper trial. It's going to have to like wait for 3 days for the fastest wire transfer to reflect at the other end of its recipient. So comparing these two businesses together, that's exactly what is happening on site in Nigeria. So businesses try to like scale their operation by opting for the solutions that solve their problem seamlessly. So I think it's crystal clear now. It's visible to the blind and audible to the deaf that these two solutions, when put side by side in terms of efficiency, you don't have to beg the customers or businesses to opt for the ones they want. They are literally tuning towards using USDT and Bitcoin for their remittance processes. So as far as Nigeria is concerned and the experience of businesses on site, they are opting for solutions that just solve their problem. And Bitcoin and USDT happens to fall into that category in solving those problems. And cross-border remittance companies are actually standing as intermediary between these people to onboard them to be able to use this innovation while following compliance and all AML principles. So that's going to be my response to your question, Saidia.
Yep. So the value proposition is faster and cheaper.
Yeah, value proposition, faster and cheaper and efficient and reliable.
Yep. Do you think Nigerian authorities will be influenced by American politicians that speak favorably about Bitcoin?
One, I think they would be influenced. They might have a rethink. Reason is most of the Security Exchange Commission policies always start with the United States, and then we see Nigeria also coming up and updating its Security Exchange Commission policies specifically for virtual asset service providers and all of that. So these previous experiences have been able to like show that whenever something happens in the United States, the government in our area also try to like learn from them and pick the positive aspect of it. So if Donald Trump is saying don't sell your Bitcoin, and he's saying he wants all the Bitcoin to be mined in United States, and Russia is also like legalizing Bitcoin mining, while China is intensifying effort to keep mining as well, Nigeria government will not sleep. I mean, they are also watching these governments, and I feel they will do the needful in terms of making blockchain technology in general and Bitcoin specifically something more favorable on this part of the world. So I feel they are always watching them and they're always picking insight from them, because we've seen policies around our SEC also relating to what is being done in the United States.
Game theory. So a question that's not Bitcoin related, and I want to know, what's something people would be surprised to know about you?
Oh, wow. Something people will be surprised to know about me. I think I do a lot of things, and the only thing people will be surprised to know about me will probably be the fact that I've been a radio presenter in a local dialect before entering into Bitcoin. So I was literally speaking my local dialect and running a radio show consistently every week. That makes me a bit popular when I was so young. People, I just walk around and be like, oh, is this guy that's doing, this radio show and all? And I was speaking in local language then. So it's something intriguing for me, and it's something I don't even talk about. Only the ones that know me right from time know I've done something like that. So it's strange.
So I'm breaking the rules just a little bit, but do you remember like your catchphrase or the thing you said that people remembered you by? And if so, can you do it?
Oh, I'm very sure you won't understand the language. You won't understand
That's
the language,
okay.
but I'm going to say it. So yeah, so when I start my radio program back then, I'm going to say, mi títí délé ètò ni èmi ni ọmọ rin Heritage ọmọ Falodun ọmọ òkúta kéékèèké ṣe é fàdágẹ́ ní bá gbìyànjú rẹ̀ ojú àdá rẹ̀ àtẹ̀ ni o ìwà ọmúdílé èfìdílé ohun fún agbọ́mi lérí ètò tòní. So it's just me speaking my indigenous language and telling them on the radio show to like listen to me, find something to sit down on and enjoy the awesome program, and then eulogizing myself in my native way as well. I'm a Yoruba boy from the southwestern part of Nigeria, Ekiti State to be precise. I think that's a lot of information for people to do with.
That's good. And I understood when you said Heritage Falodun, right? You said your name in there, right?
Yeah. I was trying to tell them that I'm on the program today. My name is Heritage and I'm the son of Mr. Falodun, and then they should listen to Voice of Ekiti today and join the program. So it's something I do consistently. Very and nice. It flows a lot.
Very nice. Okay, so going back to the finance aspect of things, financial inclusion is a widely discussed term, but what does it truly mean to operate within a financially inclusive environment?
Operating in a financially inclusive environment, it's very intriguing and it means a lot. I'm going to compare the West and Africa in that context. When you talk about financial inclusion, it means the ability to be able to like carry out basic financial instrument or transaction seamlessly, why not being segregated or like cut away from the global trading system, right? But most areas in Africa don't enjoy that. So when we are talking about financial inclusion, it's more like a context of making sure everyone has access to global trade and they are not being restricted of participating in any financial transactions due to whatever jurisdiction or location they find themselves. And to cap up your question, I would say Bitcoin has been an instrument connecting this part of the world to the global trade system in order for us to be able to perform such transactions. Hence, Bitcoin is financial inclusion. And thanks to all products harnessing seamless operation of Bitcoin.
Yep. That's a very good response. Okay, back to the fun stuff. Who is your all-time favorite musical artist?
Oh, I mean, my all-time favorite musical artist. I mean, my favorite genre is Afrobeat, although I listen to trap sometimes. A part of me is trying to say Travis Scott or Post Malone, but honestly, I like Davido. Davido is my favorite. It's my leisure time. I listen to Travis Scott and Post Malone. They are like my second best. But then in Bitcoin, there's no second best. So Davido first, Post Malone, Travis Scott, Burna Boy can now come.
Yep. If cross-border payments weren't complicated, or if the central bank had friendlier monetary policy, do you think Bitcoin adoption would be so high in Nigeria?
repeat that question again. I think I missed hearing it perfectly.
If the central bank, let's see, how can I synthesize it? If the central
No, just
bank
repeat it the same way.
made it easier, I have to actually find it because I put it down and I'm not sure where I put it. Financial inclusion. Hold on. Here we go. So I'll read it again verbatim. If cross-border payments weren't complicated, or if the central bank had a friendlier monetary policy, do you think Bitcoin adoption would be so high in Nigeria?
I think if the federal banking wasn't complicated and people have access to like a lot of financial instruments easily, Bitcoin adoption will still be on the rise in Nigeria, but the pace of adoption won't be as it is presently, because in Nigeria, financial problems and situation necessitates the people's reaction and adoption towards technologies that are offering solutions to those problems.
Yep. I guess the question is like a sort of a roundabout, complicated way to ask, like, spend versus HODL.
Oh,
like, would people adopt
versus...
Bitcoin in order to save? Yeah, it was because I always ask the question spend versus HODL, but this is a different way of saying basically the same thing, you know? If it weren't so complicated to transact, would people still gravitate towards Bitcoin for the savings aspect of things? I tried.
Yeah, I think people we move towards saving Bitcoin more because they actually want to be able to like hedge against inflation, and then seems the mode of transaction needs you to like build a circular economy, have a recipient willing to accept that currency locally and all. But in this jurisdiction, I feel people spend Bitcoin more than they owed it in Africa. That's my opinion. But that's my opinion. In Africa, there has been a saying that I'm always saying, honestly, we are Africans and we use Bitcoin. Honestly, we are Africans and we use Bitcoin for medium of exchange rather than just store of value. Although African try as much as possible to explore every feature of Bitcoin, we're always practical about it. I mean, you can't be in a region with 40% inflation and not be willing to save Bitcoin. At the same time, you can't be in a region whereby your currency cannot communicate with other currency and not be willing to like transact and spend Bitcoin across different borders. So it boils down to specifications and ways it actually matters to you and the approach you want to leverage. So I feel people will spend more than holding. The Westerners are more like holding and holding. But in Africa, Bitcoin is practical. We spend and we hold.
Yeah. Yep. What are 3 things a business can do to manage its foreign exchange risks?
3 things businesses can do to manage their foreign exchange risks. The best way I know for them to be able to mitigate risks is to get out of deflationary currency. They should adopt currencies. They have to adopt currency that are less volatile, and in jurisdiction like Nigeria, and based on experience I had with businesses and corporate bodies, they are more interested in adopting USDT because of the fact that it has low volatility and the inflation level is a bit better than the inflation rate of Naira right now. And it's just putting them in between. They have less risk in regards to inflation, and they also have less risk in regards to volatility. And I think another options that businesses need to opt for is they need to opt for an asset that actually skyrocket their stocks or value as a business. And I'm going to draw from MicroStrategy and some other companies as well. So top and corporate businesses needs to make sure they have their reserve currency or reserve assets in an appreciating asset. So we have initially before Bitcoin, we have companies trying to make sure they have investment in bonds, they have investment in real estate and all of that. But now we've seen them moving and transitioning into having Bitcoin as their reserve asset. And if we look at this asset over a period of time as an institutional investor, you will actually be doing triple figures in terms of ROI. MicroStrategy, Gen 3, and also the Marathon Holdings are just companies people can reference to see the impacts of these strategies in scaling their businesses. So those are the options and ways I would recommend for business to be able to mitigate risks, as well as being accountable and having a transparent auditing system. So transparent auditing system will make you to be able to comply with policies in different jurisdictions and be able to make you understand your operating cost from your expected profit over time.
Yeah.
So those three factors are important.
Yeah, most definitely. How do retail customers and local businesses navigate cash restrictions in Nigeria?
Oh, how local businesses navigate cash restriction in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there was a time in Nigeria, I think it was around December or November, Q3 2022 or Q3 2023. It was very close to election. There was withdrawal limit. There was change in paper money that people are spending. They changed the currency to another one. So the way businesses have been able to mitigate those risks is to keep an asset that can be controlled by the government making policies for their businesses, right? And some also offers to accept payment in currencies that are different by what is being controlled in this local jurisdiction. I remember the government coming up with policies and saying any store or businesses they see denominating their goods in USD within the Nigeria market is breaking the law and is illegal to do that. So what businesses have been doing since then is to make sure they denominate their goods and services in a currency different from the one that is being controlled by the government. So I think that's the way Nigerians have been doing, and it's a great approach, but then not good approach on the government side, but great approach on the business side for them to be able to mitigate risks. So aside that, I feel businesses can also be able to wither the cash restrictions by using digital payment system, digital payment rails. We have a lot of businesses using Momo. We have a lot of businesses using M-Pesa in Kenya, Tigo Pesa in Tanzania, Momo in Nigeria, Momo in Rwanda, and all of that. But in our previous speech at African Bitcoin Conference, we made sure that since these businesses have an interface that they are cognizant with, which is the Momo or mobile money interface process, products that they will be able to use at that same with that same interface on Bitcoin also helps them a lot. So to your question, businesses have been able to mitigate cash restrictions by denominating their goods in a different currency than the one they have on ground, and also by using digital payment platforms like mobile money and Bitcoin powered products.
Yeah. Why is scarcity important when it comes to money?
Awesome question. I mean, my students will be watching this now and be like, wow, Heritage mentioned this in the Bitcoin diploma course last week. I think we finished the week 1 Bitcoin diploma course training at DigiOats, and the topic then was scarcity and why money, what defines money. So scarcity itself add value to money. So when we study economics, we understand the concept of demand and supply. If the demand is higher than supply, then the goods becomes more valuable, right? But if the supply is higher than the demand, the value of that good keeps decreasing. So money needs to be scarce in order to like attribute more value to it, which is what we've been able to like detect and see in Bitcoin as a unique feature, because Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million that is relatively available for about 8 billion population of the world and all of that. So it's something intriguing. Money needs to be scarce to attract value itself. I feel that's more like a principle in economics that everyone should delve deep and study into aside just listening on this podcast. So yeah, that's my response to your question, Saida.
Yep. Stock to flow. Okay, this is a bonus question. Which book
I'm going to give a bonus answer too.
Who is okay?
Of course.
Thank you.
I have to.
Which book would you recommend to someone new to Bitcoin?
Oh, the book I'm going to recommend to someone new to Bitcoin. Okay. Someone new to Bitcoin who is ready to read. I'm going to recommend the Bitcoin Standard to him, because the Bitcoin Standard takes the technology from like the basic aspect to the technical aspect to the finance aspect to every feature on Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin Standard is actually a very great book that comprises of the right information you need to know about Bitcoin. And when reading that book, you can easily navigate into like, probably going to the technical part, or probably scaling your existing business with Bitcoin, or probably extending on education, or probably using this innovation to like just better yourself financially. So that book is awesome, and I always recommend it. Although I have other books that I always read, Bitcoin books too. Let me reference Thank God for Bitcoin, and also Learn Bitcoin by Anita Posh, and a lot of other amazing books.
Anita Posh, yeah. I don't mention that book enough. I have that as well, Learn Bitcoin by Anita Posh, and it's very practical. It's a very hands-on, practical book to get started. She did a good job of like synthesizing, how to set up a wallet and get going. Okay, but we talked about this, but I'll still ask it. Spend or HODL?
Spend or HODL? For me, I only spend Bitcoin.
For you personally, yeah.
For me personally, I only spend Bitcoin to get people acquainted with Bitcoin, or probably spend it when I'm in other jurisdictions that involve me spending Bitcoin. I like dollar cost averaging and holding Bitcoin, because man, I can imagine how the guy who bought pizza with Bitcoin always feels. So on my own end, I spend Bitcoin when it's necessary and important. It's not like I naturally spend Bitcoin at every opportunity. I spend Bitcoin when it's necessary and important, and I hold onto Bitcoin the most. Just like Mike Silo. I mean, in this space, Mike Silo is someone I like so much. Bitcoin is the best saving technology, and I save with Bitcoin, and I spend it when it's necessary. That's my response. So,
yeah, we do celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day, but I wonder how he feels today. Like,
that's just to show that, I mean, Bitcoin has a lot of value, and then you don't know what the sats you're using to buy groceries today is going to turn in the nearest future. Probably some people will be buying real estate and a lot of stuff with that. So you need to like build generational wealth and get stuff ready for your kid and all. And I'm still young. I need to actually do that. I need to vote.
Unless you're in a circular economy where you get paid in Bitcoin, you spend in Bitcoin, so you're not thinking about, oh, I'll never get it back. If you can live in a circular economy, I think you are set. I wouldn't move. Like, I would just stay in that circular economy and that's it.
Yeah. I think what we are doing in Africa is to build those circular economy. Yes, what we are doing in Africa is to build those circular economy and make sure it's operational so that the spending habits can now be more elaborate than what we have right now. Although Africans spend Bitcoin a lot than they would, but that was why I responded to say, for me, I like holding and spend when it's necessary. Yeah. So your next question.
Yep. In your experience, what problem does Bitcoin solve for the people that you help specifically?
One, with my experience, I help to series set of people to solve their problem with Bitcoin. The first set of people are importers and exporters, corporate businesses, people who are interested in remittance. So Bitcoin solves remittance problem in Africa. The second set of people are people who are like retail users. People are like low-end users who just have skills and then use their skill to get paid. Instead of getting paid in fiat currencies, I help them as much as possible to like find ways to see them getting paid in Bitcoin, so that they will be able to like hedge against inflation and don't have their purchasing power decrease. So the first set of people are making sure Bitcoin helps them to solve the problem of remittance. The second set of people are making sure Bitcoin helps them to solve the problem of inflation. And the third set of people is generally in terms of adoption and education, making sure they are cognizant of what the digital finance terrain looks like. Because initially when I was entering the crypto ecosystem, I don't know about Bitcoin. I entered through a crypto space that was rock pulled. So I'm helping the third set of people to bridge the information gap between the West and Africa as far as digital finance is concerned.
You've got your customer segmentation down. You are very like, cuck. Good for you.
Straight off, man.
How did you discover
you have to
Bitcoin?
Be focused.
Yeah.
You said?
Yep. You are very focused. How did you discover Bitcoin?
I always respond to people that I discovered Bitcoin the hard way. Experience shaped my decision into getting to know about what Bitcoin really is. I heard about Bitcoin first when I was in uni. I was writing C++ and working on Arduino board then. I had to like work with a software company. I'm going to mention their name because my boss might listen to this as well. Keaton David, Planet Nest. So I do a lot of freelance job.
Okay.
I need people outside the country. I need people outside the country to pay me. But they always come up with asking for PayPal or a lot of payment platforms that I don't know. So there was this particular day that someone mentioned BTC, and I need to ask my friend in school what it's all about and all. And he told me. I was just like, okay, help me receive this payment. I think it was just small dollars then. I received the payment. That was my first encounter with Bitcoin. But my initial experience with Bitcoin now came after my initial experience with Bitcoin came after I finished school 2019. I think it was post-COVID. I stumbled on an application called Clubhouse. From Clubhouse, I met Lama Wisin and the Black Bitcoin and the Black Bitcoin billionaire team.
Oh, yeah.
So meeting the Black Bitcoin billionaire team really shaped my path into understanding Bitcoin very well, because based on my experience in freelancing and receiving payment with Bitcoin through my friend in school, I started using a lot of cryptocurrency. Then I think I get aware with Ethereum, and then there was a South African platform that looks like an exchange that we can use back then. I started using it, but I was scammed. I was scammed on Ethereum by someone. I think it was a P2P trade. I released the coin. My coin wasn't. My coin reflected that he's saying it doesn't send me my money, and it's like a money I'm trying to use to support my younger brother. So mind you, I was a technical person. Like, I was now like, wow, why will you be this technical and you just move around and say, oh, you're a tech boy and you don't know much about this digital payment. Someone is scamming you on it. So that experience made me more curious to start trying to understand the intricacies of blockchain and what differentiates Ethereum from Bitcoin and whatever shitcoin is. During those periods was when I found Black Bitcoin Billionaires. So Black Bitcoin Billionaires was like, oh,
yeah,
Kashim Young coming every day for education section. God bless Dr. Shalia Armstrong, Lamar Wilson, and Isaiah Jackson. So those are like the guys that shaped my path into Bitcoin. And since then, I've been building on Bitcoin, doing a lot of things on the innovation itself. That's a short story about how I found Bitcoin.
It's, I don't think people realize how, I mean, there have been waves of sort of like Bitcoin influencers, but depending on which wave you caught, I don't think these people realize how much good they've done for thousands and thousands of people who learn about Bitcoin. For whatever reason, they become curious, they start to read about it, learn about it, they buy a little bit, they transact with it, they buy some more, they save, they earn it, and whatever. And like many years later, people are doing pretty well thanks to open communications.
Exactly. I think that was even one of the reasons why I started DigiOats, to educate people and get them acquainted with Bitcoin. Because when I was in Black Bitcoin Billionaires group then on Clubhouse, I always think, wow, this is a lot of information that people in Nigeria don't know. They just know cryptocurrency. They just do a lot of bullshits and they get rug pulled and all. Some people even think it's a scam. So I was like, wow, everything I have been able to learn from this platform, I must create a platform that is African-centric and be able to like share this information for people and all of that. And that was like the bedrock of what brings about DigiOats.
Very nice. What's the most beautiful place to visit in Nigeria?
Oh,
in your opinion?
The most beautiful place to visit in Nigeria. Nigeria is very beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful places.
Beautiful.
Most beautiful in terms of infrastructure, I'm going to say Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. But as a tourist who is willing to explore, as a tourist who is willing to explore other beautiful places.
As a tourist.
I'm going to say you need to go to Calabar, Cross River State. You need to go to Obudukatu Ranch. You need to go to Obudukatu Ranch. Gives you a feeling of United Kingdom. Very great weather and everything. There's also a part in the southwestern region, Ekiti State, where the hot and cold water meet. On this side, you have the hot water. On this side, you have the cold water meeting together at a spring. So that's another place for you to explore. There's the deserts and safari in the north as well. Yobe State. There's also the the Miami kind of vibes or the Zanzibar kind of vibes. You're going to get that in Lagos, Nigeria. So, you can be able to pick around and explore the country. But Abuja is very, very beautiful in terms of infrastructure, good roads, and good buildings, as well as Lagos. Thank you, Saide. I believe I must have been able to do justice extensively to that question.
Well, your fellow countrymen and women will let me know and let you know if you've done it proper justice.
Of course, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned Tether a few times, and I've never used Tether. I've read about it, I've heard discussions about it, and the discussions are either polarized, either really good, really useful, especially in countries where the currency debases very quickly, or really bad because they buy treasuries and they're supporting the US government and whatever. So I'd like to know, what's your take on Tether? And it could be very pragmatic and practical. You can go off into like the bond market if you want to, but just your sincere and open take on Tether.
One important thing about me is I always explore innovations based on utility and then what are they compromising for that utility. Tether itself solves a bit of problem in terms of volatility in regions where their currency are being debased heavily. But it doesn't take out the fact that Tether is pegged and backed to a fiat currency that is inflationary as well, but less inflationary than the currencies in jurisdictions that feel Tether is better. To be honest with you, in terms of utility, Tether is actually doing well in sub-Saharan Africa and the global south at large, basically because they help people boycott volatility regarding to like pairing Bitcoin to their local currency, as well as helping them mitigate the short-term risks of inflation for their businesses. And when you look at Africa and a lot of other regions under the global south, you notice that they are facing double-digit inflation and their currency is extremely it's losing purchasing power over time. So Tether helps with that, and that's why it's been widely adopted here. And one thing we need to understand is that despite that utility, it doesn't take away the fact that Tether is also pegged to a currency that is inflationary itself as well. So I think we need to take note of that. And is Tether really good or it's not good? I think Tether is just going to be the devil's pool, something like it's offering a service for the short time in order for you to be able to solve a problem quickly while still attaching you to that problem on a global scale. But to your question, Tether works perfectly in terms of boycotting volatility and then making sure people can easily connect with other regions, specifically on the USD radar.
Yep. This is the second last question.
Wow.
It's gone by quickly. You mentioned it earlier, but it's an official question. Which countries are included in ECOWAS?
Oh, 15 countries. 15 countries are included in ECOWAS. I think I'm going to list the ones I know. Cape Verde, Nigeria, Ghana, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, Benin Republic, all countries in the West African region, Senegal, and a lot of those countries like that. They are about 15 countries. So those are the countries under ECOWAS. They are the countries in the West African region, and they are the one willing and trying to organize a framework to have a single currency called ECO.
ECO. I pronounced it eco earlier with my accent, but it's ECO.
Yeah.
I'll say it properly
just
next
like
time.
A short form of
and
ECOWAS.
The last question. ECOWAS. Yeah, but I would say ECOWAS because growing up, I learned that when you've got a vowel, a consonant, and then another vowel, old grammar rules. The vowel, the second vowel after the consonants, pinches the first vowel, and so you pronounce it as it's written in the alphabet. So ECOWAS, ECO, but yeah, ECOWAS.
I have a deep Nigerian accent actually, so it's going to be echo. Cool, no props.
ECOWAS.
Yeah,
ECOWAS sounds a lot better than ECOWAS. I'm just a nerd, and I'm doing my best as I go along.
no props.
The last question, and I think this is really good to end on. Why did you start DigiOats?
Oh, good enough. I think I referenced it in our previous question, but then let me explain perfectly. So I started DigiOats basically to bridge the um, information gap in Africa and the West. When it comes to technology, Africans are always at the receiving end. They are always basically consumers and people like just use the technology alone. But I think my understanding of Bitcoin and ability to go deep into researching and studying a lot of things, I feel DigiOats is going to be a platform where I can share knowledge and impact people with true information that is not being diluted with the shitcoin and a
Yeah.
lot of ridiculous digital finance education process that is going on right now. So I want Africans to have access to the right information, which I believe I can offer through that platform. And what we've been doing at DigiOats since inception is to make sure that there are physical Bitcoin trainings for people. Thanks to Trezor Academy for supporting us at some time. We have been personally on the company's radar. We have been able to organize different Bitcoin training programs across different parts of the country as well as different parts of the continent itself. We did programs in Tanzania, Pongwe to be precise. We did
Oh, nice.
program in Nigeria, Akure, Ondo State to be precise. We did program in Lagos, Nigeria, Victoria Island to be precise. And what we do in this program is to make sure that we teach people the prerequisite of money and then transition into improving on them with that knowledge to transition to Bitcoin. And on the other side, we work a lot in terms of consultations for corporate businesses in order for them to be able to make their businesses, denominate their businesses and have Bitcoin as their unit of account and all of that. Profit margin from those sides of our business is more like a way of giving back to the community for us through education program. So we are currently running an online program right now in collaboration with the My Premier Bitcoin in El Salvador. We are using their Bitcoin framed
Oh,
curriculum.
sweet.
Yes, we are using their Bitcoin framed curriculum, and it's a six-week long diploma course. DigiOats is just a platform focused on making sure everyone understands the value and concept of what decentralized finance truly means, where you can get undiluted information, where you
Yeah.
can shape your path into building a skill, into scaling your business or scaling your company portfolio with Bitcoin. We do a lot of consultancy for people around mining as well. And I think creating DigiOats has been a very, very great thing for me. I always look back to my decision of coming up with a platform that will really impact people's life as a great decision for me at a young age. So that's actually the main reason why I started DigiOats. And I will always say I have been inspired, encouraged by Lama Wilson, Shea Bledsoe, Dr. Shale
Good for you.
Armstrong,
Yep.
Isaiah Jackson, and um, Justin Redrick. Justin Redrick of From Bars to Bitcoin. So these people are more like the OGs that
Yep.
has been able to like, okay, intensify effort on education. And I feel their spirit and the way they do things can also be implemented in Africa by African, right? That's why DigiOats is making sure
Yep.
we get Bitcoin education across to everyone.
It's the wonderful thing about Bitcoin and most free and open source projects is that you can actually learn from a different cultural context, a different environment, a different context, and apply the relevant parts to where you are, and then tailor the things that need to be customized. Like you mentioned, a user interface earlier that replicates M-Pesa or one of these other applications. You can customize that to your local context. And it still blows my mind today that this is free and open source, that we went through a time where a lot of people were giving out really good education for free. You talk about Lamar Wilson, I understand. I speak about Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert all the time because, my father told me to listen to them. I'd heard about Bitcoin separately, and when I watched and listened to the Kaiser report, they were just breaking things down. And I was like, are they allowed to be saying this? They really helped me to see things from a perspective that was enough for me exactly to start buying books and learning more. So, and I'm forever grateful today. So I will always bring them up in my, how did I discover Bitcoin story.
Yeah, and side there, one important thing is the trains go on, the cycle goes on. Like when you have people impacting you and
Yeah.
you also take on the responsibility of impacting others, even when Heritage is no longer on it, DigiOats will still continue, and the impact we've had on people will still remain evident in their respective life. I feel it's a thing of joy for me. I can easily say we've impacted about
same.
over 500 Africans, specifically the ones who have been able to build skills through
Wow.
DigiOats. My first chief technical officer at DigiOats presently works for Bull Bitcoin right now. I think Bull Bitcoin is a Canada-based company, and
wow.
it's actually like doing on the technical aspect.
And I think they're starting in Europe as well.
Yeah, and there's actually like some students from our first cohort, some students who have been attending our meetups, doing well on the technical side with BitTrust. I think I'm going to mention Money on the Couch, Balogun Malik. Even when I wasn't able to like go to the second Bitcoin conference in Ghana, it was available at that conference, and then it's just something exciting for me that even when I'm not on site in some places, products of DigiOats, people have been able to like learn through our platform, are actually making changes and doing great things. We have guys who now work with Mass Network in the eastern part of the country. We have guys who are like doing well for themselves in terms of product development and all of that. I think it's something more about impact for us. Just as my previous boss will always tell me when I was doing IT in a software company, I think it was 2017, 2018. My boss then, Keaton David, will always tell me the best investment you can make is human capital investment. So when you invest in people, that investment will always yield great results for you over time, as those people keep developing and building on the initiative and knowledge you must have impacted them. And I feel that's something imperative for me, and it's a motivation for me to keep going.
Yeah.
And thank you, Saidia, for setting up this
Good for you.
program, and I'm very, very excited to share my thoughts here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before we wrap up, can you please remind people where they can find you again on social media and also the DigiOats website? Where can they find DigiOats?
Yeah, you can find DigiOats on all platforms as well. You can find DigiOats on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. I mean, we are very, very active on all those social media platforms. Our website is also very active. Our website shows all our programs. Our website gives you opportunity to like learn Bitcoin in 3 different African languages, as we are connected to the
Oh, wow.
Exenomia API. So the DigiOats website is
Yeah, yeah,
DigiOats
yeah. Kodatsu.
digioats.io. Yes, Gotaxo. So Gotaxo created an API for us to be able to like explore Bitcoin resources to Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, which are the 3 major indigenous languages in Nigeria. So you can check that on DigiOats website, digioats.io, digioats.io, digioats.io. And for me, I'm always active on 3 platforms: LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn as Heritage Falodun. You're going to see this same human you are seeing here. You're going to see my profile picture on LinkedIn. On Twitter, you can say Heridige or search Heritage Falodun as well. You're going to like see my profile on Instagram, same thing. I'm also on Nostri. For the plebs and people who really understand what Nostri is, the real open social network. I'm on Nostri as Heridige as well. My
Yeah.
NPub key is being displayed on my Twitter as well, so you can easily link up with me on all those platforms. And I always end my statement with this side there. I always say I honestly don't have anything to do with crypto, but I have a lot to do with Bitcoin. Try as much as possible to
Yeah.
stay decentralized, spread the gospel of decentralization. If Bitcoin is expensive, buy
Yeah.
Satoshis. I'm Heritage
Amen.
Falodun, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you so much, Heritage. And I found you on Nostr. I'm just going to show I don't know if you could see it, maybe not
Wow,
with the
yeah,
light.
yeah,
But
yeah.
thank you so much, Heritage. And I look forward to asking you more questions in the future as your products or your projects, I should say, and products grow and develop.
Thank you, Saida, and I look forward to like always responding to your calls on 21 Bitcoin questions and other platform as time goes on. It's a pleasure being here today.